You're being recorded.
Alright, can I have everyone's attention, please? Everyone's attention?
Sure.
Alright, the first presentation is by
On the board.
toothbrush dispenser team. Emily being the team leader, Antoinette and Rita. Antoinette. At last.
Hopefully I'll have to like 10 weeks.
Alright, so
I'm dead. Okay, so we're talking about the toothbrush dispenser. Yeah. And we're going to be talking about our aims, objectives, and like solutions we created after our problems that we encountered. And our aims of the toothbrush dispenser was to create something that was like human-powered. Dispensers 100, but can extend to 200, and it can be like disinfected. And yeah, like it's clearly mounted on a wall and easily accessible with what we tried to create a toothbrush dispenser to do. Our constraints was like a low production cost, like no environmental impacts, meets the safety guidelines, and just to ensure the product we created was like can be sterilized. Yeah. So this is the mind mapping when we came into the design stages. We just talked about safety, customer needs, expenses, new methods, equipment and hygiene. And just basically just research different ideas and stuff.
This was like our needs and specifications table. So a lot of like the needs that we had were like the size of the actual dispenser. Like we needed it to be able to hold up to 100 toothbrushes and like be expandable to 200 toothbrushes. We had stuff like the toothpaste dispenser in particular that needed to have its specific size, so it was able to hold like enough toothpaste for like a certain amount of time, so it didn't have to be changed over every couple of days. We wanted to like make it so it was changed over every few months. We had like stuff that was had like a quality wall mount. Obviously, you don't want it falling on the people that are using it. That'd be pretty bad. Just like stuff that was not like required but optional and would be good is like for it to dispense the right amount of toothpaste instead of having like a lot of toothpaste dispensed. Like it would have like the actual like dental recommended size. Like it's like a pea size. But yeah, that was like our needs and specifications. I don't know. Yeah.
So now is the household quality. So it's like the voice of the specifications and the voice of the customers. So now we can see the has the voltage is 15.7. That is the functions what our project can do. And now you can see our company compared to the other company. So the point of impact at 5, our company is the most important, so it's 4.4. So the other company is like 3 or like or 4. So the safety board and the scanner, so our shell is made of like plastic, so it's not conductive. So our project also don't need electricity to operate, and it's durable, and it's not conductive to the growth of the bacteria. So like the metal, they can be oxidized growth of the bacteria, and then it is like all in equals independence disinfection space to prevent dust and bacteria, like or independence column like that. So safety recommendations. So actually our project is all manual, so it's not to need to charge in race working, so it's totally safe if you follow the safety instructions. Also in the package of the product.
And this is where we just basically like the collaboration when this is just an example of like the meeting minutes we completed, and obviously over weeks and meetings, obviously it's like going to be the same thing but just different writing, I guess. But this is just for like the first week where we did the first submission, where it's like the scope meeting minutes, my map, you all know that. Basically it's just an example. We just took in turn recording the minutes, I guess. And this is the Gantt chart and the WBS relationship where we talked We just wrote like all of the dates we completed each of the little tasks, like my map between like went for a week where we completed it. And this is, so I did the weeks 1 to like, I don't know, weeks 4 to 6 overall over our course. And then like 6 to 8, and then 8 to 12, where 8 to 12 we talk about the needs and specifications. Basically just the presentation, we just recorded it. It did it for us and stuff, of the days and stuff. Yeah.
So this was like our first design concept. It's very similar to what we ended up going with. However, our actual like toothpaste dispenser had a different like design. It was more something like if you place the toothbrush in, it pushed like one rod back, which pushed another rod up, which pushed like the top of the dispenser down, and that overall it would have been like a good design, but it was very hard to actually make it and come up with how we would connect everything. So we changed that part of it. This is like our area where the actual toothbrushes were kept. So our design was more of like a toothbrush holder and toothpaste dispenser as instead of like a toothbrush dispenser. This is like a close-up of one of these. It was meant to have like holes in the bottom so the like the water and like stuff on your toothbrush would like drip, but it wouldn't drip onto the next toothbrush because that's gross and bacteria. Yes, that's about it.
Like design concept 2, this was just a 2-day sketch, which looks like a fudge, but basically like one of our ideas was like a conveyor belt. It was hard to like show it on AutoCAD, but we tried. It's just like you click this button and then they'll rotate like every like 5 to 10 slots, and people are just like the same as Emily's design concept 1, which like each individual box, but like each individual box was basically just a toothbrush dispenser concept. Has nothing to do with toothpaste, basically, yeah. But we ran into a problem which was like it was ineffective and time consuming, and people were just waiting to get their toothbrush, I guess. So then we came up with, as this is a toothpaste.
So because what we wanted to improve with our first design concept was the actual like toothpaste part of the dispenser. So we ended up coming up with this idea. It's what we 3D printed. It is sort of like a syringe. It kind of just slots like that. When it's full, the top will be full. The whole point of it is it has like a string here, and you place your toothbrush and you pull the string down, which pushes this down. When you reach the like there's like a layer here. So when you pull the toothbrush and it touches the layer, that's how much toothpaste has been dispensed. It dispenses the actual recommended amount. So that was what we ended up coming up with to improve our design, because we were actually able to make that and we could come up with a way that we knew it was going to work. And yeah. This is our actual final design. So as you can tell, I'm going to be in the way, but this is like the string that, so your toothbrush sits on there. This holds like 100 toothbrushes. It has the ability to like expand, and if more needed, you can expand that way. But this was to hold up to 100, which is what we needed to do. It fits out your toothbrushes in like that, and it has like your name on each slot, so you know which toothbrush is yours, and you don't end up using someone else's toothbrush every day, because that's kind of gross. But yeah, that's like our design.
So the view of the materials, if we made it, so it's the components we needed over there, and the materials won't make our project totally, basically just plastic and the recycled content and the percentage. So the energy consumption we can see is 25.4 million joules per year, and our material and use is pretty high. And so the CO2 footprint is basically the same as our energy consumption. So it's 1.52 kilogram per year. So our cost, like the product itself, like cost is like $6 for each. And our electricity, like you manipulate the machine to produce our product, like 0.224 dollars per kilogram each. And the hair charge, like you have a worker, employee, or like manager, or worker to manipulate our machine. So the hair charge is about 90,000 to 120,000 per year per person. And the transport cost is about 80,000 per year.
This is just like a 3D SolidWorks sketch of our actual design. The toothpaste part would not be exposed apart from like the little slot that you actually put your toothbrush in. Yeah, that's like pretty much it.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
All right. Questions from the audience, please. Questions? Questions?
In your final design, does that toothpaste, like the bit that you actually printed, does that come out, or is it part of the the actual?
So it's kind of just part of the product, but it does need to be refilled like every 3 to 4 months, so it comes out.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming the part you're holding is a much smaller version
Oh,
of
yeah,
that one,
this is
because
like
you said
4
that AIM
times.
said like 12.5 litres, and I looked at like,
Yeah, no, it holds about 12.5 litres of toothpaste because that, for 100 people, if they brush their teeth like twice a day, that is how much toothpaste people are going to use per 4 months. So, yes, it's like 4 times smaller than it should be.
Because that to be like meet specific like requirements when we were 3D printing it, so they couldn't 3D print it to be like this big because that's I guess.
Yeah,
can
Another question?
I ask a hard question?
probably not.
Too bad. Where would you see your product actually being used?
So one of the actual specifications in the design was it was meant to be used for like third world developing countries. So this is like a design that would be kept in like an area where everybody can use it. It's kind of just to improve oral hygiene in countries that aren't able to afford it. So one of our kind of ideas was for it to be more of like a charitable thing. It's like not making people pay for it, but you know, yeah, that's about it.
Okay.
Cool.
No more question. I got some question myself.
Yes.
First of all, that was a very good presentation. You addressed most of the aspects of the project, and including the components, the lectures. So that was a good teamwork, and it can be said from the things you provided to us. Just these comments by no means are criticism. I'm just trying to. This is generic. The comments apply to every project, not on this one. So first of all, with the need, you mentioned some numbers in millimeters and hours and all that. Just be mindful that when you are having some measurable things in your need list, that creates some expectations. So the customer wants to see that these things are happening. Some of those are, I mean, we can verify them from your final design, but something like durability, 100 hours of maintenance, that is something very difficult to prove. So how did you arrive at those dimensions? I mean, there was no mention of the size of the toothbrush. That would make these shelves to be this size as they are.
Yeah.
So that would be a natural customer negotiation thing. I mean, you tell them, look, this is the toothpaste you can use, this is the one you cannot use. So that is worthy of mentioning in the step in the customer negotiation. So where these numbers are coming from, that should be a key need analysis. We say, look, this is the size of the toothbrush. So for that reason, this is a guideline for my design. I'm using that dimension to make my design. So that is something you can include. And with your mind map, understand you put a number of questions there, and your mind map has something like 3 layers. So that is how deep the questions are. But another way of making a mind map is, if you think of these are the systems, these are the subsystems, that is the shelf, this is the piston that is wall mount, then you can organize your mind map like that. And something like that directly correlates to your work rate on a structure, directly relates to your Gantt chart. Your house of quality, that was very good. I expected to see the correlation part completed, that was empty. So make sure to just demonstrate which specifications are interacting together, which ones are correlated. And also you want to mention something like voice of supplier there. Did you put voice of supplier in your, because this is not a single voice, this is not the voice of customer. That is voice of supplier, voice of the competitors. All these things should bring their numbers, and eventually the numbers will tell how you prioritize the needs. So you may or may not want to consider that. And limits of meeting was good. In the Gantt chart, you listed the weeks in a task column.
Yeah.
So you already have the weeks in the horizontal one. So in the vertical one, you expect to have something which is the nature of the doing something rather than the time. Time is the horizontal axis. The vertical one, you mentioned task in week 1 to week 3, task from week 3 to week something, and that was how you classified your tasks. Why don't you classify them according to the steps of the design, something like the 7 steps? If you go back to the slide, I'll show you what I mean. So yeah, that is your Gantt chart, and I can hardly read it from here. What is the brown one? I can not read it.
Brown.
Yeah.
Week 6 to 8.
And then the first column.
Yeah.
What is it?
It's like the weeks 6 to 8.
Yeah. So that's my point. So
Okay.
weeks are already listed horizontally. In the column, you would like to put something from the action.
Oh, like how many hours or minutes?
No, something like conceptual design, detail design, manufacturing, test,
Oh.
customer negotiation,
Okay.
the 7 steps. Right?
Yeah.
And so how these toothpaste are dispensed? Is this just shelf, people pick it from the shelf, or you have
Yeah.
a mechanism to dispense?
Nah, it's like people kind of just go and grab their own toothbrush.
It's a shelf.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Mount
Life cycle was wonderful. I mean, we don't expect students to put a life cycle or even a grandpa in their project. That is a very important thing we did. But one would ask, as a designer, where do you think you made the impact? Making your design more sustainable. How did you make a change? I mean, one would say, look, if I change the material, for example, if I change the manufacturing method, if I change the usage, if I change the transport, so I'm not saying you may not have an answer now, but when you are writing your report, that is something worthy of discussion.
Yeah.
So mention that, look, we think by changing the material from plastic to wood, that will make an impact.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I get you.
And with the cost analysis, that was good. If you can add some breakup, that will make it even more better.
Thank you.
All right.
I'm going to
Very
stop.
good
I'm going to stop
presentation.
recording now.